Turning now to something that we all do, which is singing. Seriously, let's be honest. We all sing in the shower or in the car or just when we think that no one's watching. And the idea of having others listen can be intimidating. But there's strength in numbers. So whether you're a pro or an amateur, have you ever thought of joining a local singing group, even a choir? We're listening to Home from the movie The Wiz, performed by the Sounds Good Choir at their spring program titled Feels Like Home. So while there are several choirs to join throughout the city, the Sounds Good Choir is the only one geared specifically toward adults who are over 55. Joining me now in the studio is Jonathan Miller, the artistic director and co-founder of Sounds Good Choir. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Thank you, Sasha.
Sandy Miller is here. She is co-founder of Sounds Good and program director of the Good Memories Choir. That's a subgroup focusing on folks with dementia. Hey, Sandy.
Thanks for having us here.
And Sara Bdar is a Sounds Good Choir member. Welcome to Reset, Sara.
Thank you.
Jonathan, how did the group come to be?
In early 2015, I had been working in music publishing and lost my job the day after the Christmas party.
Oh, no.
And Sandy and I got together and thought, let's figure out the next step. I've been a professional singer and choral conductor in the Chicago area for 40 years. And we had met some people in Washington, D.C. that had started a choir for older adults called Encore Creativity. And at the time, they had an affiliate program. And we thought this was going to be a much later activity for us. But we thought, let's bring this thing to Chicago. And Sandy said, let's go crazy for a year and see what we can build. And here we are.
Wow, piggyback off that, Sandy. So this is inspired by national organizations?
It is, yes. Jonathan and I went down to Washington, D.C. to see them perform a piece that Jonathan composed and talked with their founders, got really excited by what they were doing down there and said to ourselves, you know, in a bunch of years when we retire, maybe we could do that choir thing. And all of a sudden, our circumstances changed, and here we were deciding to bring that to Chicago.
How neat. Sara, how about you? How did you hear about the group?
Actually, through a friend that I made through my daughter introduced me. And when I met this woman, she was like, do you like to sing? And I said, yes, I love to sing. So she went, let's go check this choir out. I've heard about it. And we went, and they were very accommodating and welcoming. And we were like, this looks fun.
So you were immediately impressed?
Oh, yeah, immediately impressed. And joined, and I've been off and on. I mean, COVID got in the way for a while there.
Oh, yeah.
But I've been in the choir for 5 years now.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's a long time. So talk more about that experience, those 5 years. What's it meant to you to be involved in this group?
It's meant a lot, actually. I mean, I would say the main thing is that I've made friends. I have people that I actually socialize with now outside of choir, but I met them through choir, which was great. And I had just moved to Chicago like 6 months prior to joining the choir, and I was concerned that I would not make a social circle outside of my family, because my family's here. And I've been able to expand my social circle tremendously, to say nothing of the fact that it's fun.
Yeah, I think so too. And what you're talking about is so valid. I mean, making friends as adults, we know that's not easy. That's not easy to do. So you're filling a void here with this group, Jonathan. Talk more about that.
Yeah, well, I was just reading, when people retire, sometimes there's a loss of identity. How am I going to fit into the world when this thing I've been doing for so long has given me a social life and all that stuff? There was that wonderful article that Arthur Brooks wrote last week in The Atlantic. He said, when you retire, there are 4 things that could be threatened: a sense of belonging, your self-esteem, a sense of control, and meaningful existence. And I think with what we do in our choirs, we hit a couple of those.
Yeah.
Sarah's just talked about the sense of belonging. We try to give people a sense of accomplishment. Even though these are non-auditioned choirs, we work hard for 15 weeks to put on a show. And a lot of the time, it's brand new repertoire that they've never seen before. So that gives people something to be proud of.
Sandy, you formed friendships through the group as well, right?
I have indeed. I work with the dementia choir, and And I'm so admiring of so many of the people that sing in our organization, in all of our choirs. They're great role models. I mean, I'm 68, so I'm right in that age group, but I'm interacting with people that are in their 80s and getting close to 90 who are active and cognitively very sharp, and just wonderful companions.
Tell us more about your members, Jonathan. What's the age range?
The average is 74. I think the youngest is right around 55. We've got some people in their 90s, a lot of people in their 70s and 80s. People are looking for something to do, as Sarah said, after they retire. A lot of people move here because they have family and they're looking for something to do. A lot of people are lifelong Chicagoans looking for something to do. Yeah,
well, you're committed to sort of creating a space for amateurs to build those skills.
Absolutely.
Right? What does that look like in practice?
So I sometimes call myself the equivalent of a yoga teacher, because we're a non-auditioned choir. You don't know who's going to walk in the door. And people are often very diminishing of their skills. And they often say, I'm that one who in third grade was the one that the teacher said, just mouth the words. And, and a lot of people have been humiliated by experiences like that. But they want to go someplace where they have a chance to excel. So everyone gets sheet music. Some people read music, some people don't. We surround them with technology, practice tracks, Zoom rehearsals. And because we have 9 choirs in the city and suburbs, we have what we call our double and triple dippers. We've got some super diehards. People go to other, because all the choirs, except for the dementia choir, they all sing the same music. So you can go to Oak Park on Tuesday morning. You can go to Arlington Heights on Wednesday afternoon. And some people do. And we sing in each other's concerts, and people sometimes make friends in the other choirs, which is just the best.
That's also very flexible. Sarah, how many rehearsals are you doing per week?
I just tend to.
Are you hopping city to city?
No, I don't hop around. But I do like coming downtown and seeing people. Yeah. I mean, and having a day where because we tend to socialize after choir too. We'll go have coffee or whatever, a group of us. But I do know a lot of people will do extra rehearsals. Plus, for a few of the concerts, we would meet outside and practice because we didn't know what we were doing. And we need extra practice.
We love
you mean like right before the big show?
So, yeah.
I feel like that's normal. We've all done that. I used to dance back in the day, and we would just be backstage kind of running through the moves real quick before the curtain call. You mentioned, Jonathan, about some of these different groups across the city singing the same songs. What kinds of songs do you all sing?
It varies a lot. Right now we're running 5 choirs in the summer, which is a slightly reduced schedule for us. It's all 50s and 60s rock and roll, and we do it with a live 4-piece rock band of some super hot players. So that's just fun. We're doing Beatles, we're doing the Associations, Never My Love, stuff like that. Our fall concerts tend to be more seasonal, winter stuff, Christmas stuff, Hanukkah stuff, things like that. And then in the spring, we usually pick some kind of theme. This one you were just talking about, Feels Like Home. And so we have 8 songs, 14 weeks of rehearsals, and then all the concerts, and off we go.
Oh my goodness! So when the lights go up, the camera, the curtains open, Sandy, how do you feel?
Usually right before the concert starts, we, that are running things are running around like crazy people.
Okay.
Getting people seated, dealing with the person that needs to sit in the front but can't stand up when they're singing, all of those, very individual, needs. And
so there's no time to be nervous?
Not really. No.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who tends to get nervous about performing. So but fortunately, I'm so busy, wanting to make sure everybody else has a great experience that all of a sudden the show is on and off we go.
That's a great distraction. Now, last week here on the program, we talked about midlife and the benefits of thinking about those years as more of a time of opportunity rather than crisis, right? We hear that term all the time, midlife crisis. So I feel like this conversation is sort of a continuation of that in a way where people can open themselves up to a new hobby or talent in their more mature years, like singing, right? So has that been the case, you think, for your members, Sandy?
Absolutely. I think, as you said, this stage of life, people are often at a crossroads. They've lost the structure of work, or if their work has been at home, their family has grown up and moved out, and they're at that time of life where they still have a lot to offer. They still have a lot of energy and hopefully good health. And they're looking for things not just to fill the time, but to give meaning, to give their life a sense of purpose, and also just to have some fun.
Yeah. Does that ring true to you, Sarah?
It definitely does. I mean, there is for people who like to sing, there's an element of just pure joy when the harmony all works beautifully.
Yes.
And there's been some songs that they've picked that everybody, I'm in the alto section, so I know those people better. They're like, I cry every time. And, it really is a wonderful experience when it all clicks.
That is so awesome. Sandy, you're a psychologist by training. What are some of the physiological benefits of being in a choir?
There's a lot that happens with group singing that I think operates below our conscious awareness. But for example, about 10 years ago, a body of research came out, I think it originated in Sweden, that showed that when people do group singing, as opposed, for example, to solo singing, a number of physiological things happen. The fact that they're breathing together causes their heart rate not only to drop, but shortly their heart rates actually sync up, so that people's hearts are beating together.
Oh, wow!
Literally, and I think also figuratively. But in addition to that, we don't know a lot about this because the neurological effects of singing is really a very, very new area of research. But we know
how it affects our brains.
Exactly. We know, for example, that when people start singing together, some of their brain waves also sync up. So beta waves, gamma waves, some of the primary, electrical activity of our brain sync up.
Interesting.
And so I think there's a linking of people, and I think people can feel that, even though they don't realize, what's happening on the sort of biological level.
Speaking of a linking of people, Jonathan, you were involved with Uniting Voices Chicago. That's formerly the Chicago Children's Choir.
Yes.
How did that experience form your sense of community?
It's such a great question, Sasha. I think when Sandy and I first started these choirs back in 2016, we were really focused on let's deliver the program, hire the conductors, find the venues, order the sheet music, and now that we're 8 years into it, it should have been totally obvious to me at the time, but now it's more obvious. The Chicago Children's Choir kind of socially saved this kind of nerdy, know-it-all little boy that didn't have so many friends at school. I went to the Chicago Children's Choir at First Unitarian in Hyde Park and was completely loved with open arms by a choir.
Yeah.
And so, we're trying to just give that back.
What do you think are the benefits of doing this in midlife, Sarah?
I think for me, I can speak for me. It gives me some structure for my week. I'm retired. I don't have a lot of things going on in my life. I mean, I have family and friends and stuff, but it gives me a structure, something to look forward to. Gets
something
me
to do on your own too, right?
On my own. And when we have the concerts, people come to the concerts, so there's a whole social aspect to it. But I also think, what they're both Jonathan and Sandy are referring to, it gives you an opportunity for joy. And I'm not sure a lot of people have that many opportunities, especially if you don't have family around.
Yeah.
You need someone to make you smile and to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And singing does make a lot of people, makes them happy.
Mm-hmm. You've said, Jonathan, from your own experience that this time, midlife, right, 40s, 50s, 60s, beyond, it can be challenging for men. How so?
Yes. Well, I think men in our culture are so identified with work that when work stops, it's harder for us because we don't build as many relationships outside of work, I don't think, in our 30s and 40s and 50s as women naturally do. So there's actually more of a loss for men when they stop working. So we have about 70% of our singers are women, and so if not higher. And so partly because women live longer, but also finding men has been a little more of a challenge. But there are particular guys in our program program where this is their posse. You know, the Oak Park bass section, for example, is these fabulous 12 guys. Like Sarah was saying, they get together between rehearsals and have, you know, snacks, and they listen to the practice tracks and they sing together. And these guys are tight. Like,
oh, man.
One of our other choirs didn't have so many men. And so the Oak Park basses, they got in the car and they went to that choir and they made it happen, and they brought this presence. And just one other quick thing I want to say about that is, in the performing arts in particular, especially in our country, it's so competitive and there's so much narcissism. It's all about me, the individual composer, the great voice. Choir's just the opposite, Sasha. Choir's about us.
Yeah.
It's about what can we do together? How can we excel together? If you're having a bad day, you can lean on the person next to you, and it's just beautiful.
So how can people learn more and potentially get involved? As I said, you've got the Sounds Good Choir as well as the Good Memories Choir for folks with dementia. How can they participate?
Well, they can start by coming to one of our free concerts. All of our concerts are free. We have our rock and roll concerts the first week in August. Just go to soundsgoodchoir.org. The whole concert schedule's there. We are no audition choir, which is super important. You don't ever have to have a song in a choir. You don't have to know how to read music. All that matters is that you have to be willing to want to sing. If you've got a song in your heart, join us.
Oh, I love that.
Also on our website, in early August, just a couple weeks from now, we will open registration for our 15-week fall session with concerts in spring, in December rather. And we have 9 concerts in the city and suburbs, 9 choirs. Go find a choir that suits your schedule and come join us.
Lots of opportunity. Let's go out on one more song from the Sounds Good Spring Concert. This is the choir performing Home on the Rock. Jonathan and Sandy Miller are co-founders of Sounds Good Choir, and Sara Bdar is a choir member. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Still to come, the Olympics are just weeks away, with at least 24 Illinois athletes headed to Paris to compete. But for our next guest, this isn't her first rodeo. Actually, this will be her 3rd time competing at the Olympics, and in a sport that she didn't play until college. That's next on Reset from 91.5 WBEZ. But first, a former candidate for Illinois governor has been sentenced to prison. Lisa's